What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Today we are looking at how to plot coordinates on a graph. The first thing to understand is our x and y axes. Axes just refer to these straight lines in the middle of our coordinate graph. And we have 4 quadrants to our graph. We have the first quadrant, which is this one here. And a lot of the times we can just use this quadrant because this is the positive quadrant. With positive numbers on both axes. And then sometimes we use the other 3, which we're going to look at as well today. And then the second thing to understand is which axis is actually which. So we can see this horizontal axis, this is called the x-axis, and the vertical axis is called the y-axis. And one very important thing to remember is that we go across the corridor and up the stairs. And that refers to going across with the x-axis looking like a cross before we go up the stairs. And it refers to the way that we interpret these coordinates. So it basically means that the first coordinate is looking on the x-axis across before we go up on the y-axis. So let's see that in practice with our first example, -5 and 3. So, step 1, we're going to start with our x-axis, which is our first coordinate, -5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look along my x-axis for the -5, and I can see it just here. And now I can look along the y-axis, and in this case we have a +3. So I'll look along my y-axis and look for my +3. Now what we have to do is plot the point on the graph where these two coordinates would meet. So what I would do is draw a line from my 3 and from my -5 and find where they cross. I was a bit sloppy there, I should have been right on that line, but you can see X marks the spot. Okay, let's do number 2, and the x-axis is a +3. So I'm going to along my x-axis until I see my +3, and on my y value we have a -3, and -3 sits just here. Now I have to be super careful when drawing my lines that I don't start on the wrong place. But here we can see this 3 cuts right through this line here, so I could draw a line all the way down. Same with my -3, and therefore my cross would be where they meet, just here. Number 3 has a -4 on the x-axis, so that would be just here, and a +1 on the y-axis being just here. Same thing again, draw a line across those lines and find where they meet. In this case they meet just here, and label it -4, 1. Okay, number 4 has a 0 on the x-axis. Now this is interesting, isn't it? Because we've not had a 0 so far. Well, 0 would be right on this corner part there where the two axes meet. And they've illustrated that by putting the 0 just next to it, but it's actually right on the corner. Okay, and then on the y-axis we have a -5, which would be down here on the y-axis. Therefore this coordinate is actually on this purple line, the 0 line of the x value, and down to -5 on the y. So my mark would be just there. Okay, number 5. Number 5 has 2 positive values, so I think we're going to be using this first quadrant. And we have on the x-axis a 5 and on the y-axis a 4. Draw lines to connect them. You could use a ruler, I don't have a ruler on here. And then we cross where they meet. Being really super careful, we go right on the corner, get rid of my lines, and again label it. And ready for the last one, number 6, -2 on the x-axis and -3 on the y-axis. Draw our lines and mark our cross. And this coordinate would be -2, -3. And there we go, that is all of these 6 coordinates plotted on this graph. Something else that we can do by plotting on a graph is to find a missing coordinate of a shape. This is a very common exam style question that says a square has coordinates -3, 1, 1, 1, -3, 4. What is the coordinate of the missing vertex? Vertex being the corner. Well, let's plot our 3 coordinates that we've got. -3 and 1 would be -3 and 1. Therefore, joining these 2 lines would look like that. mark the cross. That would be my first vertex. Second one is 1 and 1, positive 1 on both axes, so positive 1 on the x, positive 1 on the y, link them up, and our cross would be just there. And my last one is negative 3, 4. Negative 3 on the x-axis would be just here, and 4 would be up here. So join those together by putting a line through them both. And we can see my cross would be just here. Okay, so they're the 3 coordinates that we have, but we want to make a square. So I can see that my missing coordinate is going to be over here somewhere. But where exactly? Well, I can draw a line from this coordinate and from this coordinate, and I can see that my missing vertex must be just here. But that's not what the question asked. The question asked, what is the coordinate? So I need to find the coordinate of this position just here, and I can see that if I come down to the x-axis, I land on 1, so my coordinate must start with 1, and if I go along to the y-axis, I can see that I land on 4, therefore my y-axis is 4. Therefore the missing vertex is on the coordinate positive 1, positive 4. And I'd get myself a mark. There we go, that's everything you need to know about plotting coordinates on a graph. Things to remember, we always go across the corridor before we go up the stairs, meaning we go across the x-axis before we go up the stairs. The first number in the coordinate is on the x-axis, and the second number in the coordinate is on the y-axis. And then we just mark where they meet. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. If it has, subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you in another video, but for now, peace out.